I hope you guys are doing all right. My name is Jamarl Thomas. I'm your host. This is the Progressive Soapbox. I did a video early this morning. I think it might have been like 5 a.m. or something. Might have even been a little bit earlier. When I can't sleep, I do the news. I find that it's soothing, it's relaxing, not to mention I enjoy it. So I do this video with a gentleman asking Tulsi Gabbard the question. It's an amazing question, actually, and it's a question that I haven't necessarily heard put to Bernie Sanders yet. And yet, it is an amazing question. Now, I'm going to let Tulsi Gabbard answer this question, but what that question is something that, going back to 2016, when I went to a campaign rally of Sanders. This was in Philadelphia. And at that campaign rally, this was my first time ever going to a campaign rally. I had no idea what to expect. And I get there, it's freezing, it's absolutely freezing. And the line is wrapped around the building of Temple University like 3 or 4 times, literally 3 or 4 times. And people, it's kind of disheveled. People don't necessarily know what's going on, but it's a love fest. If this was, what is that big rock parade thing? I can't think of the name of it. But it was a love fest. All of these people were there for one singular objective. They wanted a better world. Do you know how it feels to be with a bunch of people who are just kind of in unison on one particular purpose? Not that they're different, black, white, gay, straight, old, whatever denomination you want to dice these people up in. But the one unifying principle that these people agreed upon is we want a better world. Now, understand, in the same way that America is a principle, it's this kind of idea, it's a thought thing, a certain degree of iconography and everything else that we as human beings kind of organize ourselves around. The same can be true for objectives and ideas that you want to take place in a wider society. Why not? If you can organize yourself around a country that's just somewhat of a concept and a principle, why can't you do it around other concepts and principles? Hey, let's make sure people can be fed. Let's make sure people have places to stay. Let's make sure people get healthcare. Let's make sure that any kid that wants can get an education to the fullest degree of their abilities. This makes us a better world and a better society. Let's do those things. So my point is this. For the first time in my life, you're at somewhere where there's a unison of this. There's a resonance of this. By the time Sanders gets on the stage, the crowd is frenetic. That was replicated all throughout the United States, in state after state after state, week after week after week after week. And all at once, it came crashing down when Sanders was cheated. Now, if you want to make the argument that Sanders would have lost anyway, then why cheat him? Why cheat him? It was a brutal thing to watch Bernie Sanders get his body broken and crying on the stage of the DNC, paraded about while they threw eggs and apples, and why Hillary supporters laughed at our tears. Now, I say that to say this. There are scars that are associated with that have never necessarily been tended to, never necessarily been mended, and for the most part have been papered over. I think it's a valid question to take and not necessarily accept whatever the DNC has taken as face value. That was taken last time, and I think that was to the detriment of the Sanders campaign. And yeah, Sanders was cheated. The fact of the matter is they never necessarily wanted to deal with that very particular point. Sanders has never also wanted to deal with that particular point. All of these guys prefer to look forward. How am I looking forward, though? You cheated me. You cheated my guy. Now, am I to believe automatically that that's not going to take place again this year? I will tell you this. There are a lot of Sanders supporters that are completely dejected in this process, thinking they're going to cheat him again anyway. What's the point? Meaning, because of what you did in the last primaries in order to get your candidate through and to assert a certain degree of dominance, you've expelled millions of people from the political process that considers you to be the enemy. You to be the problem. It's not so much that they agree with Republicans, but if they would, support Godzilla to take down King Kong, yes, many of them have. Many of them have. My point is this. I think it's a perfectly valid question to ask. What happens if you cheated again? What happens if you cheated again? And there are two questions built into that. A, do you accept the fact that Sanders was cheated in the last go around? And do you automatically accept that the DNC is going to be fair and open in this particular process, and that you or Sanders, people who they've shown a certain disdain for, are not going to be caught at the end of that with them screaming in every microphone that they can find that this is a fair and balanced process? She's asked the question. Let's hear Tulsi answer.
I shared a video a week and a half ago on Twitter that went viral, and you were asked about being smeared, and you mentioned that most of the smears were from fellow Democrats. And you know, a lot of us leftists, we felt cheated in the 2016 primaries with Bernie Sanders.
He said a lot of us felt cheated in the primaries with Bernie Sanders. Understand why this is important. The reason why I gave that story in the beginning is because I wanted to get across that there is a large section of people that felt just like me. I know, the feelings for the most part are individual, but oftentimes there's a resonance of that stuff of people who are resonating in the same way. It is a brutal thing to fall from that. Like, you get this opportunity to see something, and all of a sudden it is stripped away from you. Yeah, that's a brutal process. That's hurt. And that's not just him, that's a lot of people in this process. I mean, hell, man. I've said if it happened again, I'd cry on camera. What do you think? It's a painful process. Let's keep going.
There's rampant election fraud and voter disenfranchisement, and clearly, it's really raw for us, and we're afraid that it's going to happen again this next year. So will you stand up for us if that happens? Will you be our voice? Will you stand up to the Democratic Party? Yeah. Because, it's going to happen again. Yeah. Sure you did. I know you can't say much. I know you have
Notice what he said. It's going to happen again. This is not, it may be, I don't necessarily know polling-wise what this opinion is, but this opinion is significant. And as somebody who does a show, I hear it all the time.
No, look. No. Look,
Let me interrupt. I
yeah,
want to
sure.
add something to that. As the head of the Malibu Democratic Club.
Forgive me for being belligerent for the moment, but I gotta be honest. Every time I watch this video and I see this woman stand up, it annoys the hell out of me. It annoys me on two counts. That guy asks a really good question. Honestly, that was a damn good question. And that question deserves to be answered. It was completely encapsulated. That it didn't need anything added to it. This woman didn't need to stand up. And to some degree, she steps on the guy's question. I guarantee you, whatever you're going to say, what he said was far more important.
A lot of what we've been working on in the last year and a half is to bring our Democrats together.
Yeah.
And we know we can't win unless our Democrats come to. And we really figured out that
That's right.
under which all know the fight that one of the questions at this
Yeah, sure.
She asked the question on bringing Democrats together. That wasn't his question. If you cheat us, will you be our voice? Meaning, people are throwing their lot in with the Democratic Party to some degree to even just vote for you. If they cheat us, is Sanders going to turn around and scream into a microphone that people should vote for the person who cheated him again? Valid question.
By coming together around the issues that we care about. We are seeing in this country far too much divisiveness, too much tribalism, with people sitting in one corner going against those sitting in another corner, whether it be based on political differences, religious differences, ideological differences, racial differences. The issues that we're talking about affect us all. That will require us to come together to solve these challenges. And Yes, we are going to have different ideas on how to do so. We will and should have vigorous debate around these issues. That makes us stronger. We also have to make sure that we're speaking the truth, that we're calling things out as we see them. That's not a bad thing. Have you heard me do that before?
Yes.
Okay. So does that answer your question? We cannot be strong as a party unless we are working together to forward and champion the policies that serve the people. And so if there are those in our party or the other party who are undermining the interests of the people, then we have to speak out on that. That's our duty and our responsibility. I have done this throughout my time in public service. It's what I will continue to do, because my vow of service, my commitment and dedication to serving the people of this country is not predicated on a party loyalty or loyalty to one group or another group. My loyalty and my promise is to the people of this country. And we are stronger. We are stronger as Democrats, and we are stronger as Americans when we stay focused, all of us, on that mission and not be distracted by the noise or the chit-chat or the strife and divisiveness that is really often used intentionally to distract us away from our mission of service and bringing about the kind of positive change that we need. To see. So that's what I would encourage everyone to do, that as we head into this election cycle, there's a lot of candidates who are running for president. Let's be a part of the solution. Let's be a part of the solution by speaking the truth and speaking out for the people, asking questions and holding leaders accountable for the positions that they hold, and then doing the work that's necessary in these elections to mobilize, get out the vote, and form.
Just to interject, I gotta be honest, I don't know the answer to the guy's question. I mean, first, the other woman added her stuff in, which completely obfuscated what was being said. If Tulsi Gabbard would have given this very specific answer with only the guy's question, this would have made absolutely no sense. As opposed to the potential to give a dodge because this woman interjected some nonsense that had nothing to do with what the guy was asking. I'm sorry, man. I find this to be a question that needs to be tackled head on, and not with this word salad that, I gotta be honest, I have no idea what she's saying here. That's necessary, and to shine a light. Look, the DNC requires transparency. We didn't see a lot of that the last time around.
They're still not.
She said the DNC requires transparency. The organization that says we can lie, if we want to lie, we can make deals in a back room. And they're right. They're a corporation. They can do whatever they want in that sense. It's somewhat of amazing that they can tell you that they're being fair and impartial while simultaneously having candidates send money to people who are being cheated in the process. But that's not fraud in the least. Let's keep going.
So what changes that? This is my point. If we can complain about it amongst each other, or we can be a part of the solution. And every single person in this room has a platform. Every single in this room has a platform and has the power of each of our voices to be constructive, to be positive, to be focused on the truth and serving the people of this country. That's what I hope that we can do if we head into this election.
You guys know, I like Tulsi. So this is not, a kind of browbeating of Tulsi. And by the way, the gentleman who asked the question himself said, I understand Tulsi says she wants to lead with love, but at some point she would need to lead as a warrior. The Democratic Party is playing nice a little bit right now, but they're going to crush her like a bug if she isn't prepared to push back hard. And he also says, he says, I understand that, but Tulsi can't actually come out and criticize the Democratic Party She has been diplomatic, so I guess she would leave it at that. I imagine she would have responded differently if she wasn't at a Democratic club. I don't know. I mean, but he said this question was somewhat unsatisfactory. Loves her to death. I mean, you can even see pictures of them here. So again, this is not necessarily a criticism so much of Tulsi, as more so as fears and angst based on what took place in the last primary. I gotta be honest, I don't think this is somewhat of an unfair question. Something happened in 2016. Now, Tulsi's thing is, let's just look forward. That's what this answer is. Let's just look forward. Fair enough. There's no choice but to look forward. But by the same token, can we at least acknowledge that something took place in the past? And if it took place in the past, that it is as rational could be to say maybe it would take place again, considering that there were elements that were having meetings to try to stop Sanders without it looking with their fingerprints on it. I think it's just rational to accept that the Democratic Party may be against you as you're running in a process put on by the Democratic Party. I don't think the question is out of sorts at all. Now, to be fair to Tulsi Gabbard, I understand that answer is somewhat of a difficult answer. Because understand anything that you're going to say is going to be somewhat critical of the party. And look, what that guy wants, and I think what I want, is this notion that if people participate in this process again and they're cheated in this process again, that you're not just going to go along like Sanders did the last time around. I don't think he's wrong for asking that. By the same token, it's almost impossible for her to answer that. It's a no-one question and answer. All right, I'm going to end this here. Shout out to Kerry Dobson for asking this question. It's a really good question. The only other follow-up, is to just be more specific. Are you saying in this case that you're calling it out? I understand you're saying calling it out, but just be specific. Are you saying that you will not participate in the election and you will vocally and you will outwardly protest if they're cheating you or Sanders in this race? I'm looking more so for specifics, and it's possible that she can't give specifics because she wants as much latitude as possible as a candidate. So, fair enough. So, I'll leave this here. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please can't get it out. Please consider sharing, liking, subscribing. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.